Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering John chapters 4 through 6. And
with Landon Noll.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone and latitude from your friendly galactic astronomer. How are you folks? How are you folks doing today? I decided to include the galaxy. They were
you got a promotion?
The galaxy feeling left out.
You're right.
It has been left out for quite a while, so I'm glad you're really giving it some attention.
well, technically, it is a neighborhood.
It is
more or less.
And so I hope the galaxy is tuning in, considering clicking that like button and subscribing and Patreon and all that good stuff, because the galaxy needs to watch this show.
Yes, it does. That's right. We got to remember to tell everyone to go shill it out to their local galaxy. Yeah. Anyways, we're doing John today. We're continuing on. So I think that next week is when we get into one of my favorite parts, the pericope adulterae.
And the week after that, we won't be here, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
17th to the 19th, yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So this next week we will be here. The week after that, though, we won't.
Yeah. Someone's busy.
Yes.
The guy who, the most important guy, you.
No, yeah, the most important, my ass. So I have a tournament
to this show.
that weekend. So
yeah, Lawrence is gonna be playing Pokemon on his phone.
I will be playing Pokemon on my phone, and I actually just recently learned that they actually give you a phone to play Pokemon on. So it's not even gonna be on my phone. It's gonna be on on the one that they give me for the tournament.
Well, yeah, they don't want you to play on your hacked clients on your own phone.
Totally, my hack client. Yep.
How else would you get so high up in the leaderboards?
Lawrence.
Maybe just being good.
You'll be thrilled that there's just no lag.
There's gonna be lag. This game sucks.
Oh my god! Even with a closed end circuit,
yeah,
damn,
it's gonna suck.
These phones are made specifically to play Pokemon Go.
I don't think they're made specifically for that. That's
They're
probably the only app on there.
You should keep it at the end,
just take it.
Yeah,
go.
Just say you lost it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I mean, if you don't win, then at least you can
At
get
least you
on
won.
the phone.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, so yeah, that's what's happening next week.
Next week.
Yes, next
2 weeks
week.
from now.
Yep. But today we are continuing on with the Gospel of John.
And I have the King James Version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version of the Bible.
And Landon has
the New American Standard Bible, a reference edition by A.J. Holdman Company, division of J.P. Lipcott Company, because apparently God forgot to copyright this book. But the Lockman Foundation did.
wonderful.
And they're a corporation not for profit from La Habra, California. So that's my Bible.
Let's see what we also have. We have Erdman's commentary on the Bible.
We have the Jewish Annotated New Testament and the NIV Study Bible.
We have from, what's this guy's name? From Ernst Henken, from the Hermenia series, commentary and translation. This is the first volume on John. We have the Greek New Testament. We have a textual guide to the Greek New Testament.
We have the Text of the New Testament by Bruce Metzger, the Historical Jesus in Context by Amy Jill Levine and others, and the New King James Bible.
Yeah, the New King James. That's right.
And we mentioned Erdman's.
We did.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it hasn't been getting much screen time lately.
No, because we've just kind of added so many more commentaries that are just far better. So it has not been getting that much time now.
Yeah.
But it's served us well.
I occasionally get something from it.
Yeah. But it did a very good job when it was the only commentary we had.
Yeah.
It did a good job. I remember when I was when we were doing Psalms, right? I was in a whole bunch of texts.
You were actually going through everything.
I was, yeah. And I have little notes here and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
congratulations.
You know what?
Things change.
I would say that if you could only have one commentary on the Bible, it might as well be Erdman's. But then again, it might as well be Hermenia.
Yeah, just stick all of them together. And
In my place, some area up in the very Pacific Northwest, sometimes people, particularly on Saturdays, come into the coffee shop to do their Bible studies, and they have a pile of books, although not nearly as gnarly and as precious as your pile of books. But I always find it interesting that they're doing scholarship, and then they have the King James version of the Bible. It says something about.
Well, it is the best version of the Bible.
oh, that's so much.
As we all know.
And we found the fanciest looking Bible in the back room, and
It is fancy looking.
Yes.
Yeah,
It is fancy looking.
that's kind of.
It's been a while since we showed the actual cover of it. It looks
you
very
go.
fairy tale like.
That's right. That's the
It
only
is the-
reason it's the best Bible here. See, it isn't because it's that particular version. It's because it's that particular book.
Well, also because it has dragons.
Yeah, it uses
wherever
dragons a lot.
you guys have jackals.
Yeah, jackals.
that's true.
Yeah.
Or just things in the desert. They turn into dragons too. Whatever it is, beasts. Now they're dragons.
So you probably have asked or answered this question, but why is it called a Bible?
What?
Well, because it's from the book. Sorry, from the Greek word for book, biblos. It just means
So it's-
book.
It means holy book, right? And so when did we bastardize the book to Bible, right? When did that occur?
I have
Today?
no idea, but it was probably
Today,
English
right,
word.
right now. This was it.
like it was probably from the because it was probably always being called biblos, but then eventually to differentiate it from other books, we called it specifically the Bible.
The
'Cause,
book.
Yeah,
they had
the
scrolls
books.
and things before. So obviously at some point in the English language they decided to
Yeah, to just favor this one. Yeah, that would make sense.
Speaking of which,
So, yeah, I was quickly going to say, is this the first thing to use adding a "the" to make it the
God, no.
definitive version of things?
God no, that's just what articles do.
No,
Chris.
I mean, like,
not necessarily.
here's what I
If you
mean.
look at, go ahead.
Okay, here's what I mean real quick. Like, in media and fiction, there's always the original thing that came out, and then there's some other, either one of them was originally the one with "the" for the title of it, and the knockoff removes that.
Oh, sure.
Do you see what I mean? Is it one of the first instances if they added a "the" to make it a distinct version of all the
Probably not.
No.
I'm guessing it's been going on for a while.
other? Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure.
yeah, because like in Greek, for example, yeah, to have like a specific person. In fact, sometimes they just use the word "the."
Well, I'm
for
sure
a
it's not
specific
the
person.
oldest, but is it the oldest known,
well,
basically?
you know
No,
what,
probably
Lawrence?
not.
It would be interesting for you to do a video about the history of the term Bible.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
I mean,
Yeah,
granted, the Old Testament is the Tanakh, right? They wouldn't be calling it the Bible, and then when these books, John and
Jeez, you
Luke
could
and
just
everything,
simply name it. Why is it called the Bible?
And,
Yeah.
and were they really books or were they scrolls? And so did
Well,
someone-
yeah, it started off as scrolls, but for the New Testament, I guess some of them could have actually been more than one together. It could have been a book.
yeah, or just like collected pieces of parchment paper.
God, I wish they kept those copper talismans or plates around that had all this stuff on it. But those always got captured and smelted and probably turned into weapons. Let's just be honest.
or there's some treasure hunter off right now
Yes.
trying to find them.
Yep.
Beat your books into plowshares.
Wow, that would be they'd be terrible plowshares.
Yes.
No,
Anyways,
it's books into swords. That's a way better
we're
name for a
we're
card.
almost
I'm
10
making
minutes
it.
in.
Let's start with the readings.
Let's start with chapter 4. Unless anyone has any complaints that they'd like to bring forward.
No, I got no complaints.
You better have no. I guess your
If
life is
there-
perfect, Lawrence.
and we do the wheelie thingy later.
Oh wait, that's
yeah,
right.
that's
we actually
right.
forgot
We have
because
to
we spent so
spinny
much
wheelie.
time. So yeah, we give away a T-shirt to one of our patrons the first Sunday of every month. So here it is. I don't know if you've
Here's
already
the
done
apple.
spinny wheelie.
Yes, and we
it is.
We totally intentionally
Landon's.
dragged things out at the beginning so that more people would be in here by the time we spin the wheel.
Sometimes that does happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're if we're spinning the wheelie or not.
Spinny
Spinny
wheelie.
Wheelie thingy.
It's
in a
spinning.
circular
There we go. I hear it.
as
Yeah,
spinning.
and
whoever purple is.
well,
That's
Jay
Jay
Dolla
Dolla.
Sign.
hey, look, another shirt.
There you
buddy.
go.
Huge. See,
Congratulations,
not
Jay.
rigged.
Not rigged.
Not rigged in favor of Landon. As much as he would very much like that.
Oh man.
I would.
You know what we should do one of these days?
What's that?
We should make a bunch of rigged carnival games.
Oh my god.
And do what?
I don't
Those are
know.
normal
There must
carnival
be
games. Let's
some
just-
way that we can interact with the audience with them.
Wow.
No, there are definitely like games that you can play with chat. Like they have like marbles on stream, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Where everyone puts in a command and they enter, and they get entered into this marble race.
Why is that not our background? Okay, when we're out
The
of
marble race? You want the marble race to be our background? No.
here's especially why. You see, green disappears.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only reason why.
Wow.
Because then when the chat people choose green, it turns back to our black background behind that, which we can't even seem to deal with.
Yeah, it's
We have a
really
very
weird how it's
interesting
set up. I have
error
no
in
idea.
OBS, even when you reinstall it.
Well,
It's weird.
anyways, why don't I get started with chapter 4 then?
I don't
we
know
go.
why.
Tell me.
Please get started.
Okay. Chapter 4. When, therefore, the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, though Jesus himself baptized not, but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee. And he must needs go through Samaria. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph.
Yeah, so the Samaritan village by the name Sychar is mentioned neither in the Old Testament nor in the rabbinic literature. It is used for the first time by the pilgrim from Bordeaux in 333, and thus in a time when Christian pilgrims, then becoming numerous, longed to see and also got to see every village mentioned in the New Testament. Sychar is now identified for the most part with Ascar, which lies 1.5 kilometers northeast of Jacob's Well. Shechem, which was then only a small settlement, lies closer to Jacob's Well. The well at Soker, mentioned in, I think it's some rabbinical text, I think. Let's see. 10.2. Mena 10.2. I'm not even sure what that is.
Well, Sychar
is, of
is
course,
not
closer.
known. Some commentators believe that the reference should be the Shechem.
Okay, well, yeah. So there's that potential one, right? And at least according to Hermenia, Sychar is now identified for the most part with Ascar. So yeah, the well at Soker, mentioned in Mena 10.2, is of course closer to the piece of land that Jacob gave to Joseph. In just such a way, the two places mentioned in Genesis 33:19 and 48:22 were confused as early as Joshua 24:32.
Now, we actually have a contradiction here.
No.
Do we?
Yeah, in the book of John.
We do? How? So.
Yes. So
Word
in
is perfect.
chapter 3, verse 22, after these things came Jesus and his disciples into the land of Judea, and there he tarried with them and baptized. Now, chapter 4, verse 2.
Yeah, it says
though
only his
Jesus
disciples.
himself baptized not, but his disciples.
Okay, if
did.
we can remember from last week, Sunday, obviously not Friday, then John 1:1 started with A is equal to not A. We'll recall that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
John has been on some very bad footing logically
Well,
starting this.
Yes.
Just he hasn't done any better.
Yeah.
He's still continuing to make these errors.
But the contradiction may be evidence of a complex process of composition involving more than one writer.
Yeah.
That is what the Jewish Annotated New Testament says. Also, there's some details about traveling through Samaria here. Samaria, between Judea and Galilee. The main route from Judea to Galilee led through Samaria, though an alternate route via the Jordan Valley was possible. Samaritans were descendants of the remnant of the 10 tribes associated with the northern kingdom of Israel, who were not deported when the kingdom fell in 722 BCE, and Babylonians and Medians brought to the region by the Assyrian conquerors. Tensions between Samaritans and the Jews who returned from Babylonian exile was created in part by the Samaritans' opposition to the rebuilding of the temple, which we see in Ezra 4, 6 through 24, the rebuilding of the temple. Yep. All right. So now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus saith unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans.
Okay, so this is interesting here. Have no dealings with the Samaritans. That entire section there for Jews do not. The word there would be use, I guess, but they don't use things with the Samaritans. This explanatory comment is omitted in several witnesses. Some have thought that the words are in early comment by a copyist in the margin that eventually got into the text of most witnesses, but such comments are typical of the author. The omission, if not accidental, may reflect the opinion of copyists that the statement is not literally exact and therefore should be omitted. The meaning of the verb sukrontai is disputed. So that first part means together, and then it looks like an infinitive. That's what I can tell you. So some take it to mean to have dealings with. Translations based on this interpretation include do not associate with, or have no dealings with, or do not want to have anything in common with. Others take the verb to mean to use together, with the implied objects being vessels for food and drink. This is the basis for the translation, Jews will not use the same cups and bowls that Samaritans use.
Well, this is especially noteworthy because, as we know from Genesis 29:10 through 20 and Exodus 2:16 through 21, biblical stories that involve encounters between a man and a woman at a well often result in marriage between that man and woman. So there may have been some cultural baggage here that would make it especially noteworthy.
We just need more wells.
So here's something that's actually kind of cool. So I just went back and saw this. So for that verse 6 where Jesus sits down at Jacob's well, so some manuscripts read the earth instead of the well. But the reason for that is because the word for earth is inside, is part of the word for well. So the word in this context, since he is sitting at this or sitting on this well, or at it, I suppose is fine. So he's sitting at this well, and in that context, the word that's used for it, the earth, or sorry, the well would be te pege, and then the word for earth it would be te gei. So that's literally just the inclusion of two letters there. So the reason why that would be is probably just because someone forgot to put it in there, and it still works. It still makes sense as a sentence. So because they have the exact same, it's right there. Those same two letters for literally in the other one. But I found that interesting.
Yeah. Or it could just be that the writer didn't have absolutely perfect grammar, which
No, here, I'll show you.
Oh.
So grammar-wise, it's fine. So here, that's the earth, te gei, and the well is te pegei. And yeah, so gay is in pegei, which would be the well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not really a grammar issue.
Yeah. This is just a vocabulary issue, which, I mean, we're assuming that the author of John was Greek.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so continuing on here. Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. Then, yeah, the living water being like water in motion, refreshing water, good water, the kind of water that you want.
Vampire repellent.
Yeah. Also, this where it says "gift of God," pull up your Greek.
Okay.
Yeah. So the term.
Sorry, what verse?
In
10?
verse 10.
Okay.
Yes. Now, the gift here, the Greek for this word is used only here in the gospel, and emphasizes God's grace through Christ. This is the only place where that term for gift occurs in John.
Really? So
Apparently.
I guess ten dorean tu teu. Okay. So I mean that seems like a pretty usual word for gift. Let me check here. So you're saying that that's the only place that it occurs in John, though?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I guess you can't really argue with that, huh?
It thereby might have some special significance.
Sure.
The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle?
I should point out here, so in Judaism, spring water or living water is primarily a figure for Yahweh himself and the salvation that proceeds from him. It is then interpreted to refer to the Torah. For example, in the Damascus document, Numbers 21:18 is interpreted thus. The well in question is the law. And finally, with reference to the teaching of the wise, Philo calls God the spring of living, by which he understands concretely the law and God who teaches virtues through the law. In the Gnostic book of Baruch, the passage, quote, which is to them a bath, a spring of living water welling up, shows how the notions of baptism and drinking are intermingled.
Yeah, and here the Samaritan woman's mistake is taking Jesus literally when he refers to the living water. Anyways, Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Jesus saith unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou...
Begone thought... No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, kind of. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that saidst thou truly.
Oh, shit.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's basically like, begone, thought.
It's pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah. The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
Okay. So actually, there was a section that I had underlined in my previous studies. It's interesting that this is sort of a notion about the Gentiles being, brought into the fold, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a couple of notes here. First of all, some commentaries have this 5 husbands thing as a reference to the 5 books of Moses, but that is spurious. And
yeah, that sounds like sounds like classic stretching.
Yeah. The Mount Gerizim is the Samaritan's holy place. That's where the Samaritan woman suggests that worship should take place. Nor in Jerusalem, right? Neither here nor in Jerusalem. This is a prophecy of a future time when, as the gospel writer hopes, all worship will be concentrated on Jesus as the Son of God. In the context of this gospel, this is an example of replacement theology. Mm-hmm. Jesus replaces the temple. This reference is another indication of the gospel's post-70 date. And salvation is from the Jews. This is the gospel's only unequivocally positive statement about Jews.
Right, yeah. Which it would kind of make sense, right? Because in this context with this woman, the only place where Jesus is pretty much explicitly called a Jew, I think, is at the beginning of this section when the woman is like, how could a Jew, what did she say exactly? But she did call him a Jew. The woman wonders why a Jew
would ask her for water.
Yeah.
Right.
Why he addresses a Samaritan woman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's continue on then. The woman saith unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Jesus saith unto her, I that speak unto thee am he.
Yep. So this is one of the many I am sayings. Mm-hmm. So ego eimi. This, of course, calling back to in Exodus when God revealed himself to Moses in the burning bush.
Yes, and
I am that I am.
So John uses I am, Greek, ego eimi.
Yes.
Frequently in his discourses. In several cases, the phrase is used without a predicate.
Yeah, so it's literally just a way to link Jesus with God. Mm-hmm. And he does it like all the time. In fact, near the end, we're going to get like everyone like, once he says it, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, you're God.
Yeah. Though John's Jesus is a lot more straightforward than prior Jesus.
Oh, absolutely. This is the most exalted Jesus.
Yeah. This is why everyone says start here.
Yeah, start here, where it tells you directly that this guy
Jesus. Here you go.
Yeah.
We use this one.
I mean, just contrast this with like the Luke and the Matthew Jesus, where he's like, don't tell anyone about these miracles. That
right, yeah.
But here he's like outright, yeah, I'm the Messiah.
And in the one that he does show often, which I forget which one it is, but it was pretty recent. We might have just read that one.
There was the recent one we read was the wedding at Cana. That was unless you're talking about a different gospel.
The one where someone was a mind reader.
Oh, that was in Luke where he reads minds.
Yeah, that was a couple
Yeah.
narratives, I think.
So is this evidence that Jesus is developing a Messiah complex?
Well, the thing about Jesus.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see if he actualizes that.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yep. And upon this came his disciples, and marveled that he talked with the woman. Yet no man said, What seekest thou, or why talkest thou with her? The woman then left her water pot, and went her way into the city, and saith to the men, Come, see a man which told me all things that ever I did. Is not this the Christ? Then they went out of the city and came unto him. In the meanwhile, his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of.
Oh,
secret meat.
So this is where breatharians get their right?
Yeah.
God, let's hope not. Oh my God.
Yeah. We should do a t-shirt for secret meat.
Should we? I don't know. That's not very TOS.
No, it isn't, but it would be hilarious.
Yeah, probably would be.
It's funny just thinking about it.
Yeah. I'm imagining Landon walking around like
With secret meat.
yeah, like walking around a big astronomy conference with a bunch of astronomers with this secret meat shirt on.
Oh my gosh. I don't think you'd wear that to that. That's not the right occasion.
It would be funny though.
It would be funny, yeah.
It would be
But
the wrong occasion, and that might be funny. Anyways.
So I did want to point out. So I don't think, at least from this translation, it doesn't say that it means meat specifically.
Oh,
but they're
okay.
saying that there's food that you don't know about. So once again, we have a Johannine enigmatic saying that immediately invites misunderstanding. Yeah, no. That's hilarious. Very well done, commentator. Very well called.
Thank you.
Because the disciples have not yet received the Spirit, the food to which Jesus alludes is simply denied to them. However, the perspective of the evangelist is fixed on Jesus. The important thing is that Jesus has this food.
Okay, so I want to point one thing out before I continue.
Because they're about to go on and misunderstand the remark.
I want to point one thing out that's been consistent throughout the Gospels.
The disciples misunderstand
No.
Jesus constantly.
Jesus is a shitty spiritual teacher.
Oh yeah.
He has these disciples
He's
who
very vague.
They follow him everywhere he goes. They do everything he says.
Yeah.
And still, like, this basic shit, like, this basic stuff, they apparently don't understand. Well, the only way that could be true for every single one of these 12 is
dumb as hell,
if
or
Jesus
he's a
is
bad teacher.
He's so terrible at teaching them that they can't understand even the most basic stuff when it's so consistently the same thing over and over again.
It's usually the same thing, yeah. Very rarely does it, like, steer away from, like, follow me, guys.
Right.
Like Peter in one of the Gospels, the early one, I think.
Yeah. Peter is
God.
always like the butt of the joke.
Oh my gosh, he's not even in some of them because he's got a different
But
name.
I will point out there's some pretty anti-Semitic stuff that people explain as to why the disciples didn't understand stuff, right? That's kind of one of the things, and so other folks then say, well, see, we're not like them because we understand from afar, and they had it in front of them. That question you had has been used by some fairly terrible
like I've
people
heard
to
that,
propagate
in
really bad
church.
stuff.
Like that's how they explain it in a actual Sunday school at one point, perhaps to me.
Yeah,
The Jews didn't have the right understanding, but
Right.
us Christians
Because
do,
they were stiff-necked people.
Oh my
Right,
gosh,
right,
and
the
their
whole
hearts-
stiff neck
their
thing,
hearts
yeah.
were hardened.
That's probably the kindest way they could say it. So that John 4 chapter 4 verse 23 is used as an example of saying that essentially that they bypassed all those Jews they don't want to talk about because they're now the new good folks.
Right.
That's kind of that's sort of some of the subtext that gets propagated sometimes in these
Crazy, but
religious
true.
circles.
Right. And John's gospel is highly anti-Semitic in general.
Yes.
So let me continue on here. We're about halfway through this chapter. Therefore said the disciples one to another, Hath any man brought him aught to eat? Jesus saith unto them, My meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work.
So that's what sustains him, all right?
Yeah. Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest? Behold!
Behold!
Behold,
Behold.
I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. And he that reapeth receiveth wages, and gathereth fruit unto life eternal, that both he that soweth and he that reapeth may rejoice together. And herein is that saying true, one soweth and another reapeth. I sent you to reap that whereon ye bestowed no labor. Other men labored, and ye are entered into their labors. And many of the Samaritans of that city believed on him for the saying of the woman, which testified, he told me all that I ever did. So when the Samaritans were come unto him, they besought him that he would tarry with them, and he abode there 2 days. I guess all that this woman ever did was have 5 husbands and then sleep with the 6th guy.
Yeah.
Nothing else notable?
Nothing else. She hasn't even eaten or slept. It's just that.
All right.
Yep.
Hard to believe. I guess she's very Jesus-like in that way, that she sustains herself by breeding or something, but like the opposite of Jesus in that way, almost. I don't like that.
She's completing the work. Be fruitful and multiply.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. Doing a very good job.
And many more believed because of his own word, and said unto the woman, now we believe, not because of thy saying, for we have heard him ourselves, and know that this is indeed the Christ, the Savior of the world.
Yeah, this whole, a very good way to add weight to what you got to say here. So that was verse 41, right?
Yeah. Well, that was verse 42.
42.
Now,
sure.
Savior here, Greek soter, and Septuagint for Hebrew Yesha, basis for Yeshua, as Jesus.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I mean, so Jesus' name is Jesus in the Greek at least. So I guess the Yeshua would be Aramaic, right?
Well, the Aramaic and Hebrew, right?
Yeah.
Are basically the same thing. But when you have the words, this could be Yeshua, Yahshua, Yehoshua.
Yeah.
Yeshua.
And it can be a number of things.
Sure.
Very close to Yahweh-like.
The word here, soter, could also mean deliverer from enemies, and it was a common title for rulers. The Samaritan term is taheb, which is translated as the restorer, the returning one, or the repentant.
Yeah. So that, on that actually. So yeah, the Samaritans thus come to confession of Jesus as the Savior of the world. So pre-Christian Judaism thought God, the real Redeemer of Israel. In Hellenism, Zeus and Asclepius, Isis and Serapis were venerated as saviors. The designation of the Roman emperor. Hold on. Man, that shit just got really caught in there.
True story.
Yeah, right. Designation of the Roman emperors as savior of the world was quite common from Hadrian on. That's interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the Confessions of the Samaritans moves the developing understanding of Jesus on for the reader. The title Savior of the World is suggested neither by the self-revelation of Jesus nor by the Samaritan woman's witness. It relates back to 3:16 through 17, which we saw to be heavily influenced by Sophia tradition. This title is another pointer to Jesus' identity as the incarnation of all her qualities, all Sophia's qualities.
Yo, I'm going to mute
Sophia's
you.
qualities.
You just cough as much as you want, okay?
Thank you.
Just as the saving role of Sophia and God runs into one in the book of wisdom, so too does that of Jesus, Sophia, and God in the Gospel of John. So, we have this continual relation to the wisdom tradition, which is brought up here.
Yeah, and it was brought up last week too, I think.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
Anyways, let me continue on here at verse 43.
All right, I'll let you.
Now, after 2 days, he departed thence and went into Galilee. For Jesus himself testified that a prophet hath no honor in his own country. Then, when he was come into Galilee, the Galileans received him, having seen all the things that he did at Jerusalem at the feast, for they also went unto the feast. So Jesus came again into Cana of Galilee, where he made the water wine. And there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus was come out of Judea into Galilee, he went unto him and besought him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Then Jesus said unto him, Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. The nobleman saith unto him, Sir, come down ere my child die. Jesus saith unto him, Go thy way, thy son liveth. And the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him, and he went his way.
This is similar to the one that, like where he went into that, I think it was a girl's bedroom, right? And he's like, oh, she's just sleeping.
Mm-hmm. It's also similar to that one where he dealt with the centurion.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, so this is strange here. Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. Now, I have no idea what would possess Jesus to say this when clearly this man is seeking him out to perform the healing because he believes. Yeah. So it seems a little ridiculous.
You don't believe hard enough. Okay?
Yes, these signs and wonders. Yeah, it is surprising, right? So the man had not made his faith in Jesus dependent upon getting to see Jesus perform a miracle first. Rather, he believes that Jesus can heal at a distance. The Gospel of John only uses the Old Testament signs and wonders at this point. The evangelist has inserted verses 48 onwards only in order to express his own understanding of the traditional story by chiding faith based on miracle. Beyond that, he manifests here his peculiar intermediate position between Paul on the one hand and the synoptic tradition on the other. According to Paul, in his incarnation, the Son of God divested himself of his divine powers so that none of the demonic rulers of this age recognized him. According to Mark, it is precisely the demons who recognize Jesus in his true status and are made dumb by his powerful words.
You know, it's noteworthy here also where he says, Except you see signs and wonders, you will not believe. You is apparently plural, as opposed to the singular that we would expect in this instance. So Jesus here
hold on. Which verse is that?
Verse 48. Then Jesus said unto him, Except you see signs and wonders, you will not believe.
So verse 48?
Yes, 48.
Powerful words.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
So if it's plural there, is it plural? Mr. Greek?
Yes, it is. It is plural.
All right. So as a plural statement, this is not something that he's saying specifically to the nobleman, but is presumably something that he's pronouncing to the Galileans because he's in Galilee. Or actually, yeah, he's in Cana in Galilee. So there is there's some implication there that he is not speaking directly to or about this man or his case. I guess that would fit John's Jesus, who does this kind of thing.
Where he just addresses the world in general instead of talking to somebody who's right in front of them.
Yeah.
What a great guy.
Yeah, it's not what we do here, or the royal we. No. By we, I mean all human beings.
Right. Every single last one of them.
Yeah. Okay, so let me... so this guy goes on his way, and as he was now going down, his servants met him and told him, saying, Thy son liveth. Then inquired he of them the hour when he began to amend, and they said unto him, Yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him. So the father knew that it was the same time, the same hour, in which Jesus said unto him, Thy son liveth, and himself believed in his whole house. This is, again, the second miracle that Jesus did when he was come out of Judea into Galilee. And that is chapter 4. If you are enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, and Galileans.
Oh, and the galaxy.
And the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget the galaxy.
Yeah, and let's just remember here that definitely leave those comments because viewer engagement, interaction helps with the channel a lot, actually.
Yeah, so we're about to head back into Jerusalem. There's going to be a festival, but it's not going to be made clear which one specifically was in mind. So
I guess it's the week of feasts or feasts of weeks.
The Feast of Weeks.
You remember that? That was the thing.
I don't think that's the one. That's not the name. There's like the Feast of Booths. There's the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Isn't that still during like this whole month? That's
well, I mean, yeah. There's like one month that's particularly like oversaturated
it's
with
really badly named, called like the Week of Feasts or the Feast of
this
Weeks.
feast,
it's not. Yeah,
this feast is going to show up in the first verse. So why don't you read the first verse and I'll give you some commentary here.
Okay, we'll do. Chapter 5. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem.
Now, after this, it can also be translated as sometime later.
Sure.
But this is like an indefinite expression. It's not exactly clear when. And this Feast of the Jews is probably one of the 3 pilgrimage feasts to which all Jewish males were expected to go: Passover, Pentecost, or Tabernacles. The identity of this feast is significant for the attempt to ascertain the number of Passovers included in Jesus' ministry, and thus the number of years his ministry lasted. John explicitly mentions at least 3 different Passovers, the first in 2:13 and 23, the second in 6:4, and the third several times in 11:55 and 12:1. If 3 Passovers are accepted, the length of Jesus' ministry was between 2 and 3 years. However, if the feast of 5:1 was a 4th Passover, or assumes that a 4th Passover had come and gone, Jesus' ministry would have lasted between 3 and 4 years.
All right, let's continue on here.
Oh.
Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool in Aramaic called Bethesda.
Yeah, the sheep gate.
Yeah, Bethesda, there you go.
A gate to the temple precinct, Nehemiah 3. Remains of a 2nd century healing sanctuary, Asclepion, and a pool with 5 porticos have been discovered near the Church of St. Anne in Jerusalem. So this may be referring to a real location.
Yeah, there is in Jerusalem by the sheep pool a place called Bethesda in Aramaic that has 5 porticos. That's how Jeremiah translates it.
Yeah, and for Bethesda, the manuscripts have a variety of names. But
yeah, I was going to point that out.
One of the Dead Sea Scrolls seems to show that Bethesda is the right name. The site is generally identified with the twin pools near the present-day St. Anne's Church. There would have been a colonnade on each of the 4 sides and another between the 2 pools.
Yeah, apparently there are. So there are also a bunch of, as you mentioned, a whole bunch of different names for it.
Yes.
All right. So continuing on here, which has 5 roofed colonnades. In these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. One man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years.
Wow.
When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time.
Do you not have verse 4?
No. Let's talk about verse 4. Verse 4 is not found in P66 or P75 and the oldest manuscripts. It was first present in the Byzantine text in various forms and gives a vivid account of how the reader is to understand the cause of the stirring of the water, which is what gives the water its curative powers. Although these additions are found only in later manuscripts, they might not be entirely foreign to the original story of the curative pool. Why the evangelist reports nothing of this kind beyond the indications given in verse 7 will be discussed. Okay, so they're going to discuss it later. But
well, here I have verse 4, and this is present in some manuscripts, either wholly or in part. It says, waiting for the stirring of the water, for an angel of the Lord went down at certain seasons into the pool and stirred the water. Whoever stepped in first after the stirring of the waters was made well from whatever disease that person had.
And here's something else interesting. Sorry, Landon. I promised I'll let you get to it. So of course it's absent from the earliest and best manuscripts, and also the presence of asterisks, I think, I don't know how this is pronounced, obeli, I don't know, to mark the words as non-original in more than 20 Greek witnesses. Also, the presence of non-Johannine words or expressions, like, kata, kairon, embino, interesting, okay, and then there's a whole slew of others. And the rather wide diversity of variant forms in which the verse was transmitted. That is very interesting. So apparently this is just straight up a later edition, evidently. Sorry, go ahead, Landon.
No, so my Bible also does not have verse 4 in it. It just has a parenthetical C marginal note. And the marginal note says many authorities insert wholly or in part, waiting for the moving of the waters. Verse 4, for an angel of the Lord went down at certain seasons into the pool and stirred up the water. Whoever then first, after stirring up the water, stepped in, was made well from whatever disease he was afflicted. And it's interesting. This is kind of a tied to the sort of the cheap trick stuff that the church would use to get pilgrims to come to some holy place. This kind of excuse stuff, and I thought that this lame excuse of, well, it's only the first person. So when people try to get in and they weren't healed, they say, well, I wasn't first. I'll keep trying again. It really is kind of a disgusting process where and this is not the only place this happens, right? There are other places where miracles occur and it doesn't happen to you, but there's an excuse as to why.
Yeah. Hey, do you guys remember in the Old Testament, I forget which part, but there was this, there was that pool, or that was like a healing pool. It was mentioned like once or twice briefly. I know. I think it was somewhere in Kings.
Hate Kings.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I swear, if Jason was in chat, he'd probably know, right?
Yeah,
but I could swear there was some healing pool reference in it only popped up like once or twice, I swear, but it was there, and this reminds me of that.
Yeah, it might be something similar.
And in fact, and things like I know that, for example, I had somebody go and get a special sanctified bottle of water from Lourdes in France, which is supposed to have miracle cures. And we just basically left the sealed bottle and its holy seal stuff on the shelf and watched the amount of stuff grow inside it. It was, and in fact, analysis of that so-called sacred well shows it's now heavily polluted, and civil authorities don't recommend that you consume the water, but instead, sprinkle on you for magic reasons.
Of course,
gross.
Magic. Hey, Jason.
So was it? No, maybe it wasn't Naman. Wait, was it at the start of one of the other Gospels that we read? I remember something. I don't remember if it was that one. I don't remember. You guys might be right that I'm thinking of that, but I don't even know if I'm thinking of that one specifically. So,
well, why don't you continue reading?
Okay,
John,
I will.
Chapter 5.
I don't know why it doesn't.
All right, I will continue.
Well, I wasn't asking you, Christopher.
So anyways, this guy was, this guy's been sick for a while. So when Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" The sick man.
Do you want help?
Yeah,
Do you need help?
You don't want help.
The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, and while I am going, another steps down before me." Yeah. So same thing there that Landon was talking about.
He's out of luck.
Yeah. Jesus said to him, "Get up, take up your bed and walk." And at once the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked. Oh, damn. Very easy. Mm-hmm. Now, that day was the Sabbath. So the Jews said to the man who had been healed, "It is the Sabbath, and it is not lawful for you to take up your bed." What?
Yeah, so it was not the law of Moses, but their traditional interpretation of it that prohibited carrying loads of any kind in the Sabbath. The Jews had very strict regulations on keeping the Sabbath, but also had many curious loopholes that their lawyers made full use of. Now, I'm going to go into this a little bit more. Sabbath carrying laws were elaborated upon in great detail in the Mishnah and the Babylonian Talmud, but it is not known to what degree the laws in these tractates reflect first-century Jewish law or practice. Rabbinic law, which postdates the Gospel of John, permits, even mandates, healing of a life-threatening condition on the Sabbath. But the healing of a chronic illness was not, since that treatment could easily take place before or after the Sabbath. So there are some things there. Now, about this, I do know that in some Jewish communities today, it is not permitted to carry something over a certain weight outside of your home unless it's within a certain boundary. And so there are actually...
That's so weird.
Well, there are actually strings that are like placed around cities or sections of cities that like rabbis oversee, so that it's considered part of the same boundary and people can carry things outside of their homes.
This is what I think the author of the alphabet was making fun of.
Yeah, well,
this is the kind of thing, like that amount of like defining and drawing borders for specifically this thing. Like, oh my God, it's just
yeah, this is exactly the kind of legalistic loophole that would be complained about by Jesus.
Yeah, because Jesus does not like those.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting that in my text, it indicates in chapter 5, verse 9, that now is the beginning of a paragraph. In particular, the end of now is put into bold. In my Bible, the verses are put into bold that begin essentially a paragraph.
Yeah, so it is important to...
So it looks sort of like this, right? Like if you look at sort of that sort of thing, it shows you where the verses are. So this is implying, if Athon's correct, that the end, the middle of verse 9 is the beginning of a new paragraph. As opposed to making now part of verse 10.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Greek manuscripts didn't have punctuation like that all that often. So like they didn't have punctuation at all, really. And what they had to do was, this is work that has been done after the actual like original texts. So you have like the original Greek manuscripts, and then you have, us kind of deciphering them, and we choose to put it into a different paragraph altogether. Although sometimes I know they did, or here's another option. Sometimes they would have kind of a paragraph, like they would skip like a line or something. So basically kind of be a paragraph, but then we also delineated the verses. So like that's on us.
Yeah. So Lawrence, continue on.
Yeah, we'll do. All right. So, yeah. So they said you can't take your bed, right? But he answered them, "The man who healed me, that man said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.'" They asked him, "Who is the man who said to you, 'Take up your bed and walk'?" Now the man who had been healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, as there was a crowd in the place. Yeah, he got away quickly. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you are well. Sin no more, that nothing worse may happen to you." So this is taking up the whole.
Yes, the implication that illness is a punishment for sin.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is really a disgusting verse. It's been used sort of say, you're sick. That's because you've done something bad. So
yeah, but this isn't like
you deserve the suffering, or take your penance, and then God will heal you.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
although this is not like out of the ordinary, right? Because this was like the whole Jewish thing with the exile.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's nothing but ordinary.
Yeah, exactly. Not surprising, in the least. So
like when all those kids get cancer and
must have
the
done
Christians
something
are
wrong.
like, the Lord works in mysterious ways. It's like, no, not really. It's the kid's fault.
They're evil.
Yeah. Well, see, usually I think people are better than that, but sometimes they're not, obviously, right?
And Jesus isn't better than that.
Right. Like sometimes you see like people very obviously saying, well, yeah, that like this entire this kid is sick with something because he's a sinner or something like that. And
that stole a cookie from the cookie jar.
Right.
So.
Shit like that. That does happen, but I think for the most part, people don't really do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or they work around it, I guess.
Depends on what country you're from. You could be sentenced to death for stealing from that cookie jar.
Maybe they're really good cookies. I'd sentence you to death. There's
controversial and important as those fruit in Eden.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they're magical cookies, and the magical enchantment is that they're just slightly better than normal cookies.
God damn it.
All right, so he found him in the temple, said to him, see, you are well, sin no more, that nothing worse may happen to you. The man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had healed him.
So
that's very interesting.
Is that you could interpret this as this sin no more thing as a warning of eschatological importance, right? Something worse, being like an eternal punishment, being thrown into like a fire.
Yeah,
that kind of thing,
sure,
right?
sure.
Anyways, continue.
Yeah, I will continue. And this was why the Jews were persecuting Jesus, because he was doing these things on the Sabbath. But Jesus answered them, "My Father is working until now."
Yeah,
and I am working.
No specific persecution is mentioned.
That's an interesting verse there. The last one, verse 17.
Verse 17?
Yeah, so
My
Father works.
No, the verse 16 was said, for this reason the Jews were persecuting Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did I say 16? I meant 17, but like the one that was just beforehand. So let's see. Jesus' answer does not refer to a question directed to him.
Right. Jesus says, "My Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working." Yeah.
By this enigmatic word, he means because my Father works up to the present moment, I am also working, without the Sabbath pause. The narrator has the Jews perceive immediately that by my Father he means God, the notion that God cannot stop working, and that consequently the notion of the Sabbath rest of God stands in tension with this working, led to various attempts on the part of the rabbis and Philo to reconcile the two.
Yeah, so Genesis 2:2-3 states that God rested on the seventh day. Philo conceded that God did not rest on subsequent Sabbaths, given that vegetation grew, children were born, and other natural processes continued. Jesus declares his filial relationship to an imitation of God as a creative force. No explicit statement in the gospel abrogates Jewish Sabbath observance.
All right. Let's continue on then. Yeah, so this was why the Jews were seeking all the more to kill him.
Yeah,
because
so Exodus,
because not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own father, making himself equal to God.
So Exodus 31:14 through 15 and 35:2 specify that violating the Sabbath warrants death. The punishment by death of a man who gathered sticks on the Sabbath is recounted in Numbers 15:32 through 36.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The historicity of this
I forgot about that entirely.
The historicity of this account is often questioned, and there is no evidence that the penalty for desecration of the Sabbath was ever carried out. For making himself equal to God, in stating that he is working just like God, Jesus is taking himself out of the human category to which Sabbath observance applies, and placing himself in the category of the divine that is equal to God, at least in the sense that the Sabbath laws with regard to healing do not apply to him. Elsewhere, Jesus clarifies that his authority is derived from and therefore dependent on God, implying a hierarchical relationship in which he is subordinate to God.
Yeah, we could go back and forth all day about Christologies and and how many interpretations there are. So, Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of his own accord, but only what he sees the Father doing. For whatever the Father does, the Son does likewise. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all that he himself is doing, and greater works than these will he show him, so that you may marvel. For as the Father raises the dead and gives them life, so also the Son gives life to whom he will." This is,
there's a firm belief among the Jews. They also believe that he didn't give this privilege to anyone else. Jesus claimed a prerogative that, according to his opponents, belonged only to God.
"The Father judges no one," I don't know about that, "but has given all judgment to the Son, that all may honor the Son just as they honor the Father. Whoever does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him."
So
this is the amount
Jews
of
believe that God is the judge of the world. So this teaching would be heretical.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting here how blatantly this seems like something you would see more often in the early church, right?
Right. Well, it's also
maybe not the early church, but
so we see
3rd, 4th century.
For judging no one, apocalyptic texts such as 1st Enoch and 2nd Baruch express the belief in a final judgment after the Messianic age.
Yeah.
That is, after the coming of a personal Messiah. This view is present in rabbinical literature as well, including a list of the length of time that specific groups are punished after judgment. So God as a judge is well defined within both the rabbinic and the extended apocryphal and apocalyptic literature.
Right. So it's very, very interesting to have that there. All right. Right. Okay. So truly, truly, I say to you, whoever hears my word and believes him who sent me has eternal life. He does not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life.
Wow. That's nice.
Yeah, isn't it? Super nice. All right. Truly, truly, I say to you, an hour is coming and is now here, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. So this is the thing he was just talking about. For as the Father has life in himself, so he has granted the Son also to have life in himself. And he has given him authority to execute judgment, because he is the Son of Man. Do not marvel at this, for an hour is coming when all who are in the tombs will hear his voice and come out, those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of judgment. So that final judgment, in hopes of that oh God, what was the word for it? That new heavenly world.
New Jerusalem.
Yeah. So that's quite a bit of eschatology and Christology in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I bet but there's a whole ton of history on that one. Either way, on to verse 30. I can do nothing on my own. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of him who sent me. If I alone bear witness about myself, my testimony is not true. There is another who bears witness about me, and I know that the testimony that he bears about me is true. I'm guessing God.
John the Baptist.
Yeah, the
that's
very
right, John the
beginning of
Baptist,
this
okay.
book, that was like the whole premise. Yeah.
So you sent to John, and he has borne witness to the truth. Not that the testimony that I receive is from man, but I say these things so that you may be saved. He was a burning and shining lamp. And we've had that before.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's called that. Probably in Psalms, I guess. And you were willing to rejoice for a while in his light. But the testimony that I have is greater than that of John. For the works that the Father has given me to accomplish, the very works that I am doing, bear witness about me that the Father has sent me. So yeah, there's proof more than anything for Jesus is obviously the stuff he's doing. No matter if someone as great as John the Baptist sees or like attests to his greatness.
Right.
Where was I? Right. Okay. And the Father who sent me has himself borne witness about me. His voice you have never heard. His form you have never seen. And you do not have his word abiding in you, for you do not believe the one whom he has sent. You search the scriptures because you think that in them you have eternal life, and it is they that bear witness about me. Well, actually, they believe that they bear witness about God, not Jesus. But I guess if he's calling himself God, then they would understand that. Mm. Yet you refuse to come to me that you may have life. I do not receive glory from people, but I know that you do not have the love of God within you. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, you will receive him. How can you believe when you receive glory from one another and do not seek the glory that comes from the only God? It seems like Jesus in this section is like, you'll believe the other guys, but you won't believe me.
Yeah.
And he, he's basically saying that they are all circle jerking. Like, yeah, let's believe each other, guys. But he's like, no, guys, I'm right over here. Mm-hmm. Although you'd think that if people agreed on that, then he would become part of the people that he's criticizing. But it wouldn't be right because he's the real one. So whatever.
Special pleading.
Yeah, pretty much. Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one who accuses you, Moses, on whom you have set your hope. For if you believed Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote of me. He didn't.
Right.
He didn't at all.
Jesus' listeners,
even if you believe that Moses wrote the Torah, he did not write about Jesus.
Right. So Jesus' listeners would have prided themselves on their attachment to Moses.
Yes, my one fictional OC wrote about my other fictional OC, so they're both real, okay, guys?
Yeah, but Moses would have been their lawgiver. Mm-hmm. So it was unexpected for Jesus to say that Moses himself would accuse them before God. Mm-hmm. Also, this is a reference to the scriptures which the gospel asserts here testify to Jesus' identity as the Messiah and as God's Son. He is saying that those who do not interpret the scriptures this way insist the gospel. Those who don't interpret the scriptures this way stand accused of misunderstanding their own scriptures. Yep.
No.
And then one last verse here. But if you do not believe his writings, how will you believe my words? Well, they do believe his writings.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about you, Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Jesus says that Moses wrote about him, an inclusion with verse 39, referring to the Christological interpretation of the Torah as prophesying Jesus' coming. Many passages are in view here, e.g. Genesis 18, the visit of the Lord, or 3 angels to Abraham, alluded to throughout John 8:37 through 47, and the giving of manna, Exodus 16, which is the subject of the discourses in John 6:25 through 65. But as we've already said, these things have nothing whatsoever to do with Jesus. And in most cases, what is actually said doesn't even have anything to do with the day of Yahweh or any messianic prophecy whatsoever.
Right. I mean, a lot of things do have to do with like that final judgment, right?
Yeah.
But that's
especially in the minor prophets. But like as far as Genesis goes, I don't recall like other than God saying that he wouldn't flood the earth again.
Right. Oh wait, was it in it was in the Apocalypse of Moses, right?
Yeah.
Where he lights everything on fire instead. He's like, I said I wouldn't flood the earth, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Next time he's going to be like, I say I won't light the world on fire, fine. And then he instead covers it in, I don't know, too many trees. Way too many fucking trees. They overgrow everything. Thanks, God.
They overgrow everything, and then they become sentient, and then they eat us.
Oh, that's cartoon level, but okay,
Nope, totally real.
You're right. It would fit right in with all this biblical stuff.
Anyways, yeah, so that's the end of chapter 5. Hey, if you guys are enjoying the stream so far, make sure you drop a like, subscribe if you haven't. Make sure to share it around with your Facebooks and your Twitters and your galaxies, the Jews who are arguing with you about the divine sonship of Jesus, and also I hear something.
Here we go.
Yeah, so do I.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Oh my God, Jesus! Hey, thanks for stopping by. We're just reading about you, and you think very highly of yourself, obviously. In at least according to John, I don't know how accurate you would say his words are. Perhaps we can get some information later from you. And it seems like both Reuben and Landon have disappeared. I don't know what happened to them. Everyone always seems to leave me here, but hopefully they come back. Hopefully I'm not going to be left.
Ignore me, I'm not here.
Hopefully I won't be left all alone. So this next section is of course Jesus feeding the 5,000, and we have of course seen. I think this is one of the few texts that are actually, that actually have parallels between John and the Synoptics. So, which are there are like a lot of them. So it's nice to see something familiar, I guess. But it's in each gospel, I believe. Yeah, Mark, Matthew, Luke. Yeah, it's in every last one of them.
Yeah, but it sometimes occurs more than once, and it has variable numbers for both the starting fish, the starting bread, and the end amount. They're all a bit different.
Absolutely. So, and look who it is. Landon has returned.
Whoa!
So what
yes, I was taken to a I wouldn't call it heavenly throne. It was a porcelain throne, but well,
that's what you got.
Hey, you know what? That sounds pretty heavenly to me, at least in the moment.
I must say that after a while the waters were stirred, but I did not go in, and something else beat it
Something beat you to it, yeah. Good stuff. Very, very well done, Landon. Very well done there.
Thank kindly.
And look who else returned.
Wow.
I need a new connecting cable for this.
Does it cut out in one ear?
Yeah, sometimes it like if I have this angled at just the perfect way, I can hear out of the left ear. But otherwise, it just apparently doesn't want to work.
I mean, I only usually hear in this one.
Damn, guys, do either of you want to switch like right now? Because I don't use that side ever. I hate using that side.
I mean, no, I'm fine.
Here.
No, we'll do it later. We're not going to do it now. No, this is bad. We're not doing this now. No, I'm not going to even attempt to catch it.
I don't think that
I'm
it's.
getting up.
I don't think that it's the headphone. I think that it's the cord.
It's probably the cord.
Well,
Yeah.
this could easily test it here.
Okay, well, we can test it later.
Or we can test it now. Hey, let's see if this works.
Okay, well, while they're testing it.
So we're doing a heavenly thing for coming up with chapter 6, which has to do with the
Things.
5,000 being fed.
Yep.
And making.
Yeah, no, it's the cord.
Walking.
Oh, fuck.
And bread of life, and Jews grumbling, and some disciples are perplexed and desert him.
I mean, we can definitely, Landon, I believe this is your chapter. You can start out whenever you want. I don't really. The only commentary I have on this is that it starts with the same phrase as the last chapter, meta tauta.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Chapter 6. After these things, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, or Tiberias, and a great multitude was following him because they were seeking the signs which he was performing on those who were sick. And Jesus went up to the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now, the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand. Jesus, therefore, lifting his eyes and seeing a great multitude coming to him, said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread that these may eat?" So Jesus asked this. Oh, that's kind of interesting. And this he was saying to him to test him. You see, this is why. For he himself knew what he was intending to do.
Wow.
Very clever, very clever, very clever. So Philip answered him, said, 2,000 denarii worth of bread would not be sufficient for them.
You said a 2,000?
Everyone to receive.
Did you say a 2,000, Lynn?
200,000. Or 200 denarii, I'm sorry.
Okay,
denarii.
okay.
Now, Philip would be the right one to ask because he came from nearby Bethsaida.
Yeah. And I guess denarius is a represented day's wages. So it would say, what it would say, because Philip is saying, and I apologize for that misreading here, that 200 days' wages of bread would not be sufficient to pay for this multitude of people coming forward. Now, I guess the question is that a reasonable amount? Because it was a great multitude. So I guess how much, and it said it was 200 days wages to buy bread. People only receive a little bread. So I guess he's doing his calculations. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There's a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are these for so many people?" And Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." Now there was much grass in the place. So the men went down, and the number was 5,000. Now let's think about 200 days' wages for feeding 5,000 people. I guess the question is what are they implying that how much bread could a day's wages be? I suppose a day's wages, if you only had one family member in a family might feed a bread to feed a family. So he's talking about 200. He's saying 200 people working for a day wouldn't have enough bread to feed 5,000 people. So math seems to be work out, pretty well for that sort of thing. I mean, the thing you're saying is that for 5,000 people, and they are saying, by the way, it doesn't actually say, whether men or women, but it's implying that one person's wage would have to feed 25 people. And he said, and that would stretch a bit thin. All right, back to the thing. So
seems like bread was cheap. If you do the math, bread was cheap.
Yes. So Jesus, Jesus, as I say in verse 10, had the people sit down, and now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down in a number about 5,000. Okay, so it's implying that there were 5,000 men. Do you think that 5,000 numbering they're talking about?
That sounds like what they've used before, many a time.
Yeah, so the feeding of the 5,000 is like standard. Might be the only story that appears in all Gospels.
I feel like they're, aside from, the resurrection.
Yeah,
the passion narrative.
Right. But it's the only miracle.
I don't remember if it's the only one, but it's definitely one of them.
If it's 5,000 men, then how many people might be there? 10,000?
So, sorry, what verse did you just finish?
We're verse 5. I believe it's implying that there's 5,000 men.
Yep, and that's it. There aren't any women or children there. I'm glad you figured it out. No.
Well, you said verse 5, right?
No, verse 10.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said verse 5.
I don't actually know.
John chapter 6, verse 10.
That's the case.
Okay, I see.
Men sat down, about 5,000 of them. That's the number of men. Women and children were not included.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
because they were not, considered.
Would we be allowed to go along on this thing, or we were talking about that there's like 20,000 people, as families going on, or is it probably just men going around?
Just men.
Well, it's probably more than just men. We can't assume that every single one of them is going to be married with children.
Yeah, but
so even though it wouldn't be uncommon, wouldn't be especially uncommon.
So maybe like there's 10,000 people.
Yeah,
that,
maybe
might be there, which would mean that those 200 days' wages would have to, each day's wage would have to, bread would have to feed 50 people.
Right.
Okay. Jesus therefore took the loaves, having given thanks, he distributed those who were seated. Likewise, also the fish, which they, as much as they wanted. And when they were filled, he said to his disciples, "Gather up the leftover fragments, that nothing may be lost." You might say, "Well, why would you want to gather up the bits of fish and bread? Do they like, maybe Jesus didn't like them to litter? I'm not sure. Or maybe he had a compost pile he was going to put them in. Who knows?"
Well, the Exodus generation was fed by manna that they gathered, including gathering enough for 2 days to avoid work on the Sabbath.
Yeah. They kind of did a similar thing with Joseph. He stored up a whole bunch of food because he knew that there was going to be a famine.
Yeah.
So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves, which were left over by those who had eaten. Now here, it's implying they didn't gather up the fish bits, only the bread bits. Is that what you're seeing in verse 13?
Yes.
So the fish bones and other bits that people didn't want to eat, did they eat them all, or were they like sardines, or they swallowed them whole? What do you suppose is going on here?
So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten. So the leftovers.
No
Hey,
sign
Jay.
about the fish.
Jay, you won a T-shirt.
Yeah.
You got to know that.
Yeah, you
All the
did.
sign.
You did win a
Yeah.
T-shirt.
Congratulations, Jay.
And I
for
just
your T-shirt.
I already sent out the ones that were the ones that I owed to everybody. So that's
All right.
you, Ellis, and Justin. So Landon, did you happen to see the new T-shirt design?
Did I happen to see the new T-shirt design? Did I?
I don't know, but we're gonna put it up on screen right now. Hopefully, at least the design. I think it's very ornate. I think it looks really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very pie.
Yeah,
Very pious.
Church of Piety.
Excellent. Very, very pious.
Yeah.
Saint Lawrence and Saint Reuben. Wow. Very, very, very good. And if you look at the details, so folks, so this is why you want to become a patron to enter into the drawing for such T-shirts, or you can go to their Teespring stuff. Links, as Jesus said, are provided below.
Thank you for listening to Jesus, everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm just pointing out that they didn't either gather the fish fragments, or maybe they threw them in the ground. I don't know.
Fish
What
were
do you
not
think
really
of
brought
that?
up that much.
I guess the fish would rot a lot
Yeah.
faster than the bread would go bad.
Bread, yeah.
Yeah.
Unleavened
Yeah. So
bread.
they do. They gather up like everything, including all those pieces.
But the person only talked about the fragments of the bread being 12 baskets, and we don't know if those baskets are small baskets or giant, like laundry tub sized baskets.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are they not talking about the fish? I want to know what happens to the fragments of the fish.
I don't know. It's one of those mysteries. And there, verse 14, and therefore the people who saw the sign which had been performed said, "This is the truth of the prophet who has come into the world." Jesus, therefore, perceiving that they were intending to come and take him by force to make him a king, withdrew again to the mountain by himself alone.
Yeah, so very interesting there. So, I mean, they wanted, like, he himself wanted people to recognize how great he is, right? But now they want to make him king. So he's like, I'm going to nope out of there.
Well, anyone acclaimed king risked a Roman accusation of treason and therefore crucifixion.
Yeah.
So he
yeah,
didn't
that
really
Jesus-
do a good job of avoiding that anyway.
Right, yeah. That Jesus escapes this desire of the crowd by beating a hasty retreat to the hills is contradicted by verse 3, where he's already in the hills. However, this withdrawal is entirely appropriate since Jesus emphasizes the unpolitical character of his kingdom before Pilate in 1836. Quote, "My kingdom is not of this world." So yeah, he doesn't want to be part of this kingdom. He's waiting for the other kingdom.
So, verse 16. Now when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea. And after getting a boat, they started across the sea to Capernaum. And it was therefore, and it had already become dark, and Jesus had not come to them. And the sea began to be stirred up with a strong wind and was blowing. And therefore they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles before Jesus, for they beheld. Is that
Beheld.
beheld Jesus walking on the sea and drawing near the boat, and they were frightened. Now it says 3 or 4 miles,
Which is about 25 or 30 stadia in Greek.
Okay.
What does the original text say on verse 19? What units?
Stadia.
Stadia.
It's probably Stadia. I can check. It said verse 19.
Well, it says here that the Greek
Verse 19.
says about 25 or 30 stadia.
Okay. Yeah, Stadia.
Okay, so they'd rowed a bit, and the sea was being stirred up by a strong wind and was blowing and blah, blah, blah. And they saw Jesus walking in the water towards them. But he said to them, "It is I. Do not be afraid." And they're willing, therefore, to receive him into the boat. And immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. So when Jesus stepped in the boat, they teleported to the other side?
Yeah, they were glad to take him on the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. So, I mean, that is a weird sentence there. And it does sound like a teleportation.
Well, I mean, taken as teleport, the idea is basically that following Jesus,
you're there. You're where you gotta be.
You're where you gotta be.
Yeah. So, yeah. Or should one imagine? The disciples want to take Jesus into the boat with them. In this regard, Bultmann asks, should one assume that they carried out their intention, or should one imagine that Jesus going before the ship drew it to the land? We must respond negatively to both questions. In my judgment, both perspectives miss the singularity of the new miracle that occurs here. The boat with the disciples and with Jesus on board are suddenly at the shore to which the disciples were heading. Interpreting the sense of the passage, Chrysostom writes, quote, he did not, however, get into the boat in order that the effect of the miracle might be greater. Origen is of the same opinion. Quote, by divine power, they suddenly come to land. A new miracle is appended to that of the walking on the water. In the hymn to Pythian Apollo, a ship miraculously arrives at its destination swiftly after the god comes on board. This has no bearing on the passage. I don't know why it would have. But yeah, I do remember reading that hymn.
And I guess I will point out in the chat that class wants a St. Landon version, and I guess of the shirt.
Yeah, good luck. That took forever to get this.
And also, I think you're probably right. He speculates that there might be relics of the original fish, the loaves, the bread that was gathered. There might be relics around the world.
I mean, that's a hard call, right? Because I know that
it would get pretty gross.
Not only would it get gross, but no, it would be destroyed.
It would be spiritual bread, so therefore,
it'd be fine. So I know that there are some churches that believe they have part of the cross.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't buy that for a second.
That
would just be lost. They would just get rid of it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't, because I don't know if they would have marked. They wouldn't have marked the cross itself, right? They would have put something on the cross, though.
They might even reuse it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It lived a full life.
It lived a full life as a good cross.
Yeah, at the end of a Passion movie for the Jesus narrative, and it says, and the Christ and the cross that Jesus was on went on to live a long and happy life. Oh, wonderful.
So, we're now in a new chapter, verse 22. We're about a third of the way through this chapter. So, the next day, the multitude that stood on the other side of the sea saw there was no small boat there, except one that Jesus had not entered with his disciples into that boat, but that his disciples had gone away alone. And therefore, some other boats from Tiberias near the place where they ate bread after the Lord had given them thanks. And the multitude saw that Jesus was not there, nor his disciples, but they themselves got into small boats and came to Capernaum seeking Jesus.
I wonder if he's going to help them.
And they found him on the other side of the sea. And they said to him, Rabbi, when did you get here?
Yeah, so I want to note here, there's an aside about the term rabbi. In the Second Temple Judaism, this title does not indicate a religious functionary, but conveys respect towards a person recognized as having authority. Teacher captures the connotation. In Hebrew sources, rabbi does not appear before the Mishnah, though Matthew, Mark, and John use it to refer to Jesus. Matthew 3:7-8 refers more generically to rabbis, and maybe the earliest evidence of its usage to denote learned individuals. Rabbi later came to indicate a person qualified to pronounce on matters of Jewish law and practice.
Good to know.
Yep.
And so I find it odd that the text is that the main thing they wanted to talk to him about is
him king has been forgotten by that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that they find him and they say, well, how did you get here? Right? It's plausible, but it doesn't seem that plausible. And of course,
I walked.
The fact that this multitude found boats and went there, right? Because it said the multitude therefore got into small boats and came across, right? So did anyone of them think, well, maybe Jesus got one of these small boats that we got? If the multitude can get small boats to go across, where is the miracle of Jesus just not getting a boat, right? This doesn't make sense.
Well, see, they just weren't smart enough because their eyes weren't opened and
they were not seeking.
They were stiff-necked.
Yeah, whole slew of reasons.
Yeah.
Eyes not open, stiff-necked. Sounds like they just they're having a bad day.
Yeah. Okay, verse 26. And Jesus answered them and said, truly, truly, I say to you, you seek me, not because you saw signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were filled.
Yeah. So like you guys got something out of me. So that's why you're following me, not because not because you understood the power behind what I was doing.
Here for the free food.
Yeah.
Do not work for food which perishes, but for the food which endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man shall give to you. For on him the Father, even God, has set his seal.
So this kind of carries over with that story of the Samaritan woman where they were referring to nourishing water. Here it's food. Yeah. Right?
So there's your salvation for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're seeing more of the Messiah complex there. But it says, for him, the Father, even God. So I want to know about that Father, even God. Is this a addition where someone who is trying to push the Trinity type narrative?
Well, okay, so hold on. So the verse there.
Verse 27.
So verse 27. For on him has God the Father set his seal. Is the translation that what's his name?
Well,
again?
the term "father" applied
Ernst
to
Hancke.
God has occurred.
Throughout the place, but I think he's referring to the word even. I think
the word "even" does not occur in the NIV. The word "even" does not occur in the NRSV. The word "even" may or may not occur in. Let me check.
Yeah,
It does not occur in the KJV.
And this
For
is
on him the Father, comma, even God, comma, has set his seal.
no even in the Greek.
Yeah, that seems to be a unique thing for
that's a you problem.
That's a you problem.
This is a A.J. Holdman company edition. Okay, interesting. Okay, verse 28. And therefore, and he said therefore to him, who shall we do? What may we work the works of God? And here's an underlined verse. Jesus answered and said to him, this is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent. So this is the work of God, that you may believe in him whom he has sent. Sweet. And they therefore said to him, What then do you do for a sign that we may see and believe you? What work do you perform?
Wait, weren't these the same people that saw him?
Yes.
Yeah, they're the same people that wanted to make him king because of. Yeah.
It's really weird because they said to him, "What do you do for a sign that we may see and believe you?" Right? What work do you perform? Right?
But he's literally performed work for them.
Give us more fish.
Yeah. So here we go. Yeah. Literally what we just said. Our whole like thing. That's been, of course, pointed out like a million times. They're like, what? What are you talking about? So how then could they demand a sign that legitimizes Jesus? The evangelist, however, is not offering a deep psychological analysis of the reaction of the hearers. The Jewish demand for a sign shows, on the one hand, how difficult it is for men to understand the signs that they have witnessed as such. On the other hand, the evangelist thereby creates the transition to the real theme at which he is aiming, the bread from heaven. Yeah. So, okay then.
So there's in Eerdmans something here.
Okay. Okay.
Eerdmans says, the Son of Man has come down from heaven as the agent of God's life-giving, life-sustaining power to provide food, of which the miraculous bread was only a parabolic sign. The crowd's next question serves only to emphasize their continuing misconception that they may possess or work for something temporally satisfying. Ironically, there is no work which human beings can do other than to have faith, frequently the very antithesis of works in Pauline thought.
Yeah.
So, I told you guys, you've never done any work. Nobody believes me.
Well, we believe you when you say you haven't done any work.
Yes.
We definitely believe that.
We definitely believe that.
But the person behind the camera does lots of work on the background to make these shows work. So
don't give me credit. I'm currently pushing like 2 or 3 buttons, man.
That's a lot of buttons. That's more than one.
But you pass them well and in the right order at the right time. So thank you.
You're calling me out, man.
Our fathers ate manna in the wilderness, as it is written, He gave them bread out of heaven to eat. That's how the written word sounds. Jesus therefore said to him, Truly, truly, I say to you, it is not Moses who has given you bread out of the heaven, but it is my Father who gives you true bread out of heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down out of heaven and gives life to the world. And they, I guess this is a multitude, probably in unison, obviously, said therefore to him, Lord, evermore give us this bread.
Yeah, so I do want to note that a popular Jewish expectation was that when the Messiah came, he would renew the sending of manna. The crowd probably reasons that Jesus had done little compared to Moses. Jesus had fed 5,000. Moses had fed a nation. Jesus did it once. Moses did it for 40 years.
Yes, good job, Jesus. Very well done. Well, we won't bring up how great I am, says Moses.
So I've underlined in my previous Bible studies verse 35 as well. So here's an important verse, I guess. Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst.
So he's also the drink of life, the water of life, which we did get before, but he doesn't call himself that.
Right, and the Eucharist stuff would later on go on to adopt some of these ideas. It's probably not the case that had any influence on the writing of this.
Right.
Here.
Yeah. But I said to you that you have seen me, yet you do not believe. For all the Father gives me shall come to me, and the one who comes to me I will certainly not cast out. For I've come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. So I've outlined the next two verses in my previous Bible studies. Verse 39. And this is the will of him who sent me, that all that he has given me, I lose nothing, but rise up to the last day. For this is the will of my Father, that everyone who beholds
Behold
the Son and believes in him shall have eternal life, and I myself will raise him up on the last day.
Okay, so then, since he is raised up on the third day, then was that the last day? Was that the day of judgment there?
No,
Well, he's implying, of course, that those that believe in the Son will have eternal life, but he's also saying, on the other hand, that they'll die, but he'll raise them up on the last day. So,
Right.
So on the last day of the universe, I guess everyone rises up out of the grave.
Yeah. So here's the thing interesting.
Except for those that created themselves, that's going to be a little bit more tricky.
Yeah. So so we have this. So verse 39 appears to say that in accordance with God's will, Jesus will not lose anything of what God has given him. However, Allah, that means but, introduces a sentence that completely contradicts the message of the evangelist. But raise him up on the last day. It is.
Wait, what means but?
Allah.
Oh, Allah in the Bible confirmed.
No, I mean, that's also surprisingly Polish. Allah means but in Polish.
All right. Well,
I knew that.
It can mean but, or rather.
Grandpa did it.
It just introduces like the second part of a clause, for the most part. So
Yeah.
anyway, it is precisely this futuristic eschatology that is foreign to the evangelist. He has replaced that notion with the ever-present possibility of an encounter with the message of Jesus and thus salvation. One could attempt to salvage the contradiction by saying that the evangelist here calls this moment of encounter the last day or the judgment day. In that case, he is taking up and reinterpreting a traditional expression. Yeah, there's that.
All right.
So I've given the chat 5 loaves and 2 fishes, although one's a bagel, but hey, do what you will. So verse 41, the Jews therefore were grumbling about him because he said, I am the bread that comes down out of heaven.
As you would.
And of course, again, this is part of John's anti-Semitic. He probably wrote Jews, assuming he's the author, in a particularly interesting way. Because he seemed to be, as you're right, it seems to be pretty much stomping on the Jews when he can. So verse 42, that they were saying, is not this Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? But how does he now say, I have come down out of heaven?
Yeah, it's like we know this guy's parents. Why is he trying to convince us that his parents that he came from somewhere else, somewhere that wasn't his parents?
So
yeah, but
his claim to be from heaven is offensive given their knowledge of his parentage. The gospel describes Jesus primarily as God's son, but it does not include a birth narrative that explicitly denies Joseph's paternity.
Yeah, they know his father and his mother, although some manuscripts omit his mother, quote, because in the eyes of Christians, the existence of Jesus' mother did not preclude his heavenly origin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, however, the birth of Jesus from a virgin was not an article of faith for the evangelist. He assumes rather that Jesus, as true man, had an earthly father and mother. He further assumes that this does not deny that he came from God. So it's a very, what's it called? So because he has to be both divine and man to save the sins.
Thank you, Ellis.
Or to save for the sins.
Thank you, Ellis.
Thank you for the 1999. Very much appreciated.
And a good year.
Yeah, we're gonna party like that.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly, Ellis. That's really nice.
Even though in the Old Testament there is no narrative of half man, half God redeeming the sins of human beings.
Well, exactly, yeah. But it also wouldn't be a half man, half God. It would be he would be fully man and fully God.
Right. And there's also no narrative in the Old Testament
I know, there is not.
regarding that.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
just some Christian BS that gets thrown in there, probably due to some kind of Greek tradition.
Well, it has to do with both Jewish traditions and Greek traditions. So they obviously, it's the continuation of Jewish history through, I guess, a definitely a Hellenistic lens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so verse 43. Jesus answered and said to them, "Do not grumble amongst yourselves. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him. I will raise him up on the last day. It is written in the prophets, and they shall all be taught of God. Everyone who has heard and learned from the Father comes to me."
So
Odd statement.
here's the thing.
This is a reference to Isaiah 54:13.
Sure. Carlos with the
Here's the
$9.99.
thing.
Thank you, Carlos.
That is what is that? That is a wild sticker.
That is
that supposed to be Pac-Man?
A controller?
No, it isn't.
Probably.
Yeah, it's a controller.
Clearly, yeah, and it's such a badass that it has infinite sunglasses coming onto it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Wow.
Okay, so it's just a sentient controller.
Maybe.
Nice, very nice. I like it.
Thank you, Carlos. Appreciate that.
It may not be like a conscious being, but
Like it could be a statue.
we could call it sentient.
Sure.
It's very shady.
Oh.
I'm gonna
And
go
slim.
with sentient. Yeah. It's the what's that meme?
Actually, it's fat shady.
No.
kind of bulky shady.
What's the like the deal with it thing, right? Where the
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
All
it's
right.
like the deal with the thing. You're
it
right.
is, yeah.
So, verse 46, as I said, not any man who has seen the Father except the one who is from God. He has seen the Father.
Yeah, so
Verse,
makes it clear that nobody has seen God, or that no one
Moses.
can. Yeah, right. That no one can claim to have seen God. Only he who was with the Father and now, after Easter, is with him again, has God seen. We are all therefore dependent on Jesus, who makes the Father visible for the faithful, according to 14:9. Moses, right? Now, I did want to point out that the verse beforehand, things have to be revealed to you, basically, and that's how everyone's going to end up following, right?
Yeah.
So for all those people asking, you don't read this stuff with faith and whatnot. Listen, I'm reading this, and it's telling me right now that like God knows exactly how to convince me.
Exactly.
He knows exactly how to do it, and he says that you will, right? That's the expectation, or they at least attempt to.
He'll give it a go.
Yeah, like he should. He'll know exactly what'll convince me.
French fries.
So,
It says that we'll all be taught by God.
Yeah,
God himself
there we go.
has to do it because it says so in the Bible.
I'm letting you know that never happened. I missed that part of life. That was like,
Yeah,
no one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I will raise him up on the last day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, next two verses I've underlined in a previous Bible study. Verse 47. Truly, truly I say to you, He who believes has eternal life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate manna in the wilderness, and they died. Yeah.
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 Fathers breathed air, and they died.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
But the part is, so the next verse is there. I didn't. By the way, I did not underline that verse 49.
Okay.
But I did underline the next verse.
Before you get to that, it does remind me. So recently I was talking to someone, and they were like, they believed in like a whole mummy curse thing.
What?
Because like the people who
What?
Yeah, I know. Like the people who like initially found like Tutankhamun's tomb.
Oh yeah, they got poisoned.
Well, like they're all like dead and whatnot now, basically, right? That was the argument. They're all dead, and I'm like, yeah, that happened so long ago. Of course they're dead.
I mean, people did die after opening that tomb.
Yeah,
It's theorized that
they wouldn't die before opening the tomb.
there was like really contaminated gases in there, and probably like a bacteria that was really old. Yeah, so people got exposed to stuff when they went in there, and it killed them over time. So it's not a curse. It was
So yeah, obviously it's not a curse.
really gross in there, and they died from that. I don't know what you want.
It's been sitting there for a very long time.
Yeah, there aren't many places.
It's surprising that it was left so intact, though.
It's because
That's the only reason people even care about Tutankhamun.
I know
why
I
he's
know.
so famous is because we found his burial site basically in perfect condition.
Well, the thing is that they misplaced it historically. Literally, they did all these tombs in the Valley of the Kings, and then they went, well, where did we keep Tutankhamun?
I think they were just out of room. They were out of room.
Yeah, they ran out of room, basically. So, and one of the reasons they ran out of room is because they kept making these fake tombs, and then when they lost track of Tutankhamun's real tomb, they thought the fake tomb was good enough, and they were like, this must be it.
Yeah, they did lose track of it.
It's really funny that they lost track of it historically, and that's why we had
Yeah,
it.
eventually we found it, and we're like, hey, this is pretty great.
Mother
It was
lode.
very well hidden, apparently, though,
Yeah,
because
seriously.
like nobody, because grave robbing was like a huge thing,
Oh, yeah.
especially in like the intermediate period. So
For thousands of years, grave robbing's been like a thing everywhere.
I know, but I mean, especially in the intermediate
I hear
periods
ya.
when there was no regulation on
So,
anybody.
Returning to what
Yeah.
we were saying
Yeah.
before, you met someone who believes in pharaoh curses.
Yeah.
Where?
Work.
Oh no.
Oh, that explains it.
Okay. All right. So I didn't underline verse 49, but I did underline verse 30. Verse 50, I'm sorry. This is the bread which comes down out of heaven, so one may eat of it and not die. Now, it's interesting that they talk about raising people up on the last day, implying they're dead in the grave. But in verse 50, they talk about not dying.
Well, that's because these books are incredibly inconsistent and poorly written,
And they're
it's
talking
not
about
well
being
thought out.
resurrected and then being
Or
immortal.
Maybe they're using the excuse of spiritual death versus physical death. and
Yeah.
Other apologetic things, apologizing for the bad writing that we're reading.
Or maybe they're doing like Klus, thank you for the $4.99. So
Yes,
if Jesus and
thank you.
Yoda would have a lightsaber fight, who would win?
Well, you see, I'm glad that you asked because I am an expert in these matters.
You know, I hear you're a Jedi.
Yeah, Jedi Knight. Now, you see, Yoda was over 800 years old, during which time he was raised from early childhood to practice lightsaber forms. Now, he was a master of all of the lightsaber forms, but particularly was skilled in the fourth form, Ataru, which was based on complex flips, jumps, and acrobatics.
The flow form.
Yeah, and so that's why Yoda in the prequels is jumping all over the place.
It's also
Yoda,
a single saber form. There are dual saber and double saber forms, or at least things that complement those better, and he was best with the single saber. Plus his size. He had a smaller modified lightsaber for him. Other people usually would,
See, Yoda had a Shoto lightsaber, which would be a small size for a normal person, but which was standard size for someone of his species.
That's correct. There you go.
Now, in addition to that, Yoda was Grandmaster of the Order, which
both of them have some form of spiritual revival powers as
Yeah.
well, so
They
it's
both
going to be
have-
hard to decide who wins this fight. I
also,
mean, really.
Yoda has been shown in TCW to be able to
TCW. I've never
the
heard
Clone
of
Wars.
Okay, I said I'd never heard of that wrestling promotion.
He's able to become a Force ghost after death, which also occurs later on in the original trilogy. But Yoda, as Grandmaster of the Order, was also a master of all of the lightsaber forms and participated in teaching every single Jedi Knight the material of the 7 canonical lightsaber forms. Now, so Yoda knew more about lightsaber fighting than anyone else. Also, this was the culmination of thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin, where these lightsaber forms were developing, and just prior to the collapse of the Jedi Order. So Luke's Jedi Order, the one that follows it, the new Jedi Order, would not have had as advanced lightsaber combat mechanics as the prior Jedi Order, because that information was lost. So,
also, if you look into the extended canon, it's alluded to that his Force ghost can at least battle other Force ghosts, which is kind of interesting.
Yes,
I mean,
well established. But also, Yoda, knowing all of this and teaching other people this material, is recognized by Mace Windu, the battle master of the Jedi Order.
who didn't die when he got thrown out on Coruscant after his hand was cut off by the Emperor, by the way.
Yeah, he
Everyone thinks
is
he died.
recognized as being a superior lightsaber duelist, also shown by the fact that when Mace confronts Palpatine and when Yoda confront Palpatine, Yoda is actually able
Capable
to
of put up a fight.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
he completely disarms Palpatine,
Yep.
which is why Palpatine has to fall back on his Force powers in order to
powers,
fight Yoda. Jesus, on the other hand,
doesn't have that many
has
abilities.
no lightsaber training
No
whatsoever.
lightsaber training, no forms, no zero forms.
The only thing that Jesus
Didn't Disney say that Palpatine came back from the life for reasons?
well, that was they didn't give a reason.
Well, hold on.
Look.
Jesus has the whole Son of God
We're
thing.
talking about resurrection.
Yeah.
So was Palpatine?
Yeah, can you ever
resurrected?
would Yoda ever actually be able to get rid of Jesus because Jesus
Or
can
vice
just-
versa.
Well, you see, when Yoda dies and becomes a Force ghost, he is actually one with the Force.
Oh, okay, so he is the Force.
He is the Force.
Okay.
And the Force is more powerful than any cosmic entity.
Ah, okay.
So, therefore, Yoda would be more powerful than God. And since
Right.
God is Jesus, then dead Force Ghost Yoda is more powerful than Jesus. But also, living Yoda, being like this extreme
And living
grandmaster,
Jesus as well.
Yeah, Jesus
it
has
doesn't
no
matter.
combat training
Right.
whatsoever. Okay,
None.
And I will point out in the very famous Jesus versus Santa battle, the 4 kids became Jews because they get presents on Hanukkah.
Wow.
yeah. So
That's that. Good question.
yep, that great
very,
question.
Very well spent for
I'm very glad that you asked that question. It is
Wow.
settled.
Okay. All right. So, verse 51. We have to get through this. We got 21 verses. So let's go.
All right.
I am the living bread come down out of heaven. Anyone who eats this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread also which I give him from the life is of the world is my flesh. Sorry. Let me read that again. and the bread also, which I give for the life of the world, is my flesh.
So there are a few things that I want to point out here. So verse 52 we just read about verse 51. So this one, we will come back to it after this next verse, but it does have, so there was this group called the Docetists, and we've talked about them before on the show, where they believed that they could have, had a few different forms. Jesus was, they believed that Jesus was like a phantom. He was an illusion. Like he was basically just like, because, flesh couldn't, divine things couldn't touch flesh because flesh was wicked, and it would taint that divine thing. They believed that Jesus was like some kind of, not really a thought form, but like he wasn't like physical. Like he was some kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
A ghost.
Not even a ghost.
Shared illusion.
No, he the thing, it wouldn't be a shared illusion,
An
right? 'Cause
apparition.
he was closer to an apparition, right? But
A wizard, just a normal wizard.
but either way, they believed that he couldn't have. So they didn't believe that he actually died and rose from the dead. He only appeared to, which is where so the word dokeo, the root of that means to seem or to appear.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get back to it in a little bit. We're gonna get to some polemics. So let's go into the next verse.
Okay, so new paragraph, verse 52. The Jews, there's John going at him again. The Jews therefore began to argue with one another, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat?
Yeah, so there's a little bit here. So the contrast, so we talked about, the body. We have the body and the blood that we talk about a lot.
And the literal meaning is offensive because Jews are not to ingest blood,
right?
According to the
So
and probably eating people is not kosher, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the passage suggests the practice of theophagy, literally eating the god, associated with Greco-Roman mystery cults such as those of Demeter and Dionysus. The allusion implies the Gospels writers' familiarity with such cults and supports the hypothesis that the audience included Gentiles.
Yeah. So, of course, it makes it clear then what sort of an objection the doctrine of the Eucharist being developed here will provoke among the Jews. So the body and the blood of Jesus, soma and aima, are distinguished in the accounts of the Last Supper. The contrast between soma, body, and aima, blood, is now replaced, or is it? Wait, no. Oh, sorry, it's haima, right? Because it's a different breathing mark there. So soma and haima is now replaced by that between sarx, flesh, and haima, and blood. Ignatius provides parallel usages, although Ignatius is conducting a polemic against the Docetic Gnostics, who hold that Jesus' passion was in appearance only. Appearance only. This man, who is facing martyrdom, who wants to imitate Jesus' passion by so doing, appears to spiritualize the Eucharist. In his letter to the Ephesians, Ignatius speaks of breaking bread, which is the quote, which is the medicine of immortality, quote, the antidote that we should not die, yet one ought, as I'm not sure which, I think this is a probably a Gnostic text or something, but you have an admonishment to live on Christian fare and avoid the strange food of heresy, which in 6.2 of that same text is called a deadly poison alongside honeyed wine. The passage that mentions flesh in connection with the Eucharist, so Romans 7.3, quote, I desire the bread of God, which is the flesh of Jesus Christ, and for drink I desire his blood, which is incorruptible love. So there's huge links to the Eucharist, but also lot of usage against the Docetists.
All right.
So in my Bible studies, I underline the next 6 verses. Verse 53. Jesus therefore said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you will have no life in yourselves. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life. I will raise him up on the last day. For my flesh is a true blood, and my blood is a true drink. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me, and I in him. As the living Father sent me, and as I live because of the Father, he who eats me shall live because of me. This is the bread for which came down out of heaven, not as the fathers ate and died, but he who eats this bread shall live forever.
Yeah, so very interesting there, the he who eats me thing.
Yeah. As I noted before, the eating of God.
Yeah.
Mystery cult stuff.
Yeah, it's also a theme in Elden Ring. Pretty heavy theme in Elden Ring,
Well,
actually.
the Elden Ring
Very
created thousands of years after.
Yes, but I like that it has so many, I don't know. It does. I haven't brought it up yet at all, honestly, but it did seem to have a lot of Catholic themes. Weird ones.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and verse 39 said, and these things he said in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum.
Yep. So more heretical teachings from Jesus in the synagogue.
Ha!
So
Horrible.
I guess, I thought they were out. I guess he moved over to a after the seashore thing to a synagogue. So, All right, verse 60, new paragraph. Many therefore of his disciples, when they heard this, said, "This is a difficult statement. Who can
Yeah, you
listen
tell me.
to it?"
Yeah, difficult to accept, not difficult to understand.
Yeah.
The thought of eating the flesh of the Son of Man and drinking his blood was doubtless shocking to most of Jesus' Jewish hearers.
Yeah, I bet.
But Jesus, conscious that his disciples grumbled at this, said to them, "Does this cause you to stumble? What then if you should behold?
Behold!
If we get some beholds in the chat as well, I would appreciate that. As I said, the Son of Man ascending where he was before. It is the Spirit who gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The words that I have spoken to you are the Spirit and are life. But
Yeah, this has to do with
there are some of you who do not believe, for Jesus knew from the beginning who they were who did not believe, and he said it would it was said would betray him.
Yeah, so the section there about the words that I have spoken to you are spirit and life, that was taken to mean later by some that's the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit are the words and his teachings, signs, wonders, all that stuff. Like that is the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, because it says, and it is the Spirit who gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The words I have spoken to you are spirit and are life.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are some of those of you who do not believe, for Jesus knew from the beginning who they were who did not believe and who it was that would betray him. He was saying, for this reason I have said to you, no one can come to me unless it has been granted him from the Father.
Yeah, so back where we were talking about before.
So verse 66, the last paragraph. of chapter 6.
Execute verse 66.
As a result of this, many of his disciples withdrew and were not walking with him anymore. And Jesus said, therefore to the 12, do you not want to go away also, do you?
Yeah, I want to leave.
See ya.
In verse 66, Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. And we have believed, and we have come to know that you are the Holy One of God.
Yep. As in the Synoptic Gospels, Peter acts as spokesman.
Yeah. For some reason, even though he's always somehow the butt of the joke, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So verse 7.
He's like President Camacho.
Jesus answered them, did I myself not choose you, the 12, and yet one of you is a devil?
Calling him out already.
Now, he meant Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, for he was one of the 12, was going to betray him.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Iscariot means a man from Kerioth in Judea. And it would apply equally to his father and him. Judas seems to have been the only non-Galilean among the 12.
All right, then.
And thus endeth the lesson.
Yes, that is the end of chapter 6.
All right, see, that's perfect. So that did end here because I totally forgot to bring the next book. So I'm very glad this one actually ended at the chapter we were finishing today.
Yes. So
I'll bring the next volume.
that being said, that is the show for the day. If you enjoyed the stream today, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, family, neighbors, people from Galilee and all over the place. Check out our Teespring. You can click a piece of pinned merchandise right here. Pin that
Hold the Bible.
Yep.
Been forever since I've used that one.
Yeah. So that's that you can click on that. You could also check us out on Patreon. You could be entered into the T-shirt giveaway that occurred at the beginning of the show this time.
Yeah, you could do that. So next month you could be there for that.
Yeah,
On the wheel.
Congratulations to Justin on winning the T-shirt, as you can see there.
Yeah, and there's other things on that Patreon. You can get our video scripts. You can enter into our Hangouts, which we're about to have one, right?
Yeah, we are.
So if you hurry up right now, right now,
Yeah.
and sign up for the appropriate tier, you can get in on that.
We'll send you a link.
For a certain amount of money, I think it's $50 a month. Yeah,
Yeah, for the show. Yeah.
you can be on the show.
It's up to you, really.
yeah.
You don't
If-
have to be
if
on.
you
Like,
want-
we don't
Yeah,
force people to
I mean,
come
we're
on.
not gonna hunt you down and tie you up and
Force
throw
you to be
a
on the show.
camera on you. It's
You're like, we're just like, now,
read
what's
your
your biblical
Bible.
commentary? Tell us.
Please let me go. Yeah, no. We won't force you. But yeah, you can also support us on our Amazon wish list. For some reason, Nightbot has been not posting a lot today.
So for Nightbot, it works based on how often people are chatting. So it does seem like it was already kind of not posting enough today. I feel like it should have posted more. But there's a certain amount of chats per minute, and then it kind of it should have at least posted once or something.
I feel like that.
Yeah. So so a certain amount of chats would get it to trigger, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, there's our Amazon wish list. You can check it out. Links in the description. Full of books. Add books to the table. Let us use the books. The books are with us.
Books to swords.
Other than that, we've got Facebook and Twitter. That's free to follow us there. You can email us at milwaukeeatheists@gmail.com.
We want Lawrence diss tracks, and we want the endings of the story of Ahikar.
Yes, and without further
You can
ado,
also send them information or commentary on Star Wars too. I imagine that might.
I think Ruben would. I'll just forward it all to you.
oh, okay, yeah, but that's pretty much all of our shilling. How about we let Landon shill?
Don't do it, Landon.
Well, I have been doing more work on on following the ongoing eruption of the Kilauea volcano and the Hali Ma'uma'u lava lake. At the end of the month, I'm going to be on Cheshire Show. We'll do the sort of what Pele has done in the last month thing, and continuing to do coding for supporting of the new International Office of Sequel Contest, which hopefully might happen this year. We'll see, or at least maybe next year. So that being said, continue to follow science stuff. There is I do have a Discord called Our Favorite Universe that you can, if you want to join, let me know, and I'll add you as a member.
Fantastic. I think the invite links change from like every week, right?
Yeah, so I could put a link in.
Yeah, so you can put a link in the chat. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so that all of you.
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah, so all of you who are interested in that can be linked in, but not the shitty social media platform.
Yeah. And yeah, one thing. Do you want to try that thing?
Oh yeah. So we want to know. Also, we want more comments in our comment section.
Also,
yeah, but we want to know exactly who makes it to the end of the video, who is watching the video, not the live stream.
Yeah.
So if you have made it to the end, comment in the comment box below. What should we have them
Pat
say?
on the back. Nobody's going to expect that.
how about we don't talk about the Oxford companion to the Bible?
Yeah. The comment below. We don't talk about the Oxford companion to the Bible.
If you made it to the end, yeah.
If you made it to the end, and then we will see your comments down there. It'll help out the channel a lot, and we'll have a different thing each week.
We will, yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
For those of you who have nothing constructive to say but want to post something anyway.
Yeah. Which is fair. That happens a lot.
Watch this for the next 7 days. The link I posted in the chat. You click on that. I'll see it in the next couple of days and elevate you to the science fan
there it is.
level. And you can go there on that Discord. I have.
Wait, hold on. Is that the link?
Yes, that is a link which you can click on.
This thing?
I think it is, isn't it? Is it not? Let me check.
Nope. Nope. That is not.
I am sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you
YouTube
for-
might not let you post links, and whatever your next message showed up, the one after that, but not your link.
It didn't show.
Yep, that's YouTube for you. They don't like putting links in the chat.
That doesn't. And we don't even have an option to. Nothing's even popping up.
Nope. YouTube's auto suppressing you. I hope that you. I'm sorry.
Susan.
But for those that went truly to the end, you'll know that the link that I said I was going to do isn't there. So go to Our Favorite Universe and go to Discord and ask to join. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Was quite a bit of a show today, but we had a lot to talk about, and that's fine.
And next time we will be on Friday starting the Sibylline Oracles.
Yes, the Sibylline Oracles.
Yes, it is going to be a trip.
Cool.
I've heard a lot about these.
Ditto.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's included. They span a good amount of time, so we're gonna have to go over that. But I guess mostly me. I will be reading about that stuff this week.
Yeah, I can do some searching and send you some papers and stuff.
I should.
I'm
be
sure
fine.
there are more papers about the Sibylline oracles than there are for like second and third Enoch.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Either way, that's for the show for today. All links are in the description. Landon, thanks for joining us. We're going to be having the patron hangout after this. So if you're a patron of that tier or up, you'll get an invite. So, anyways, thanks for joining us, and we will see you on Friday and then Sunday. But we won't be here the Sunday after that Sunday because they got stuff going on. But thanks.